First of all, Neema, I want to get your impressions of the vote that just happened, how this process may significantly slow down the impeachment trial. It wasn't really expected that they would take the time to call witnesses. What are your thoughts?
No, this was not expected. I think most people expected that this motion would be denied and we would have a vote on the merits today. So this is a big development, both in terms of pushing this impeachment trial out days or likely even weeks, and to really give the Democrats a fighting chance of getting those 67 Senate votes that they need to convict the former president.
That's a really good point because as of right now, we did see one more Senator Cassidy turn over on Tuesday to vote with the Democrats, but it was unlikely that they would reach 17 today to convict. Now with this more time, it seems there are questions, especially with the question and answer session yesterday evening, that there are some Republicans pretty open-minded, maybe likely to join over to the Democratic side. What do you think about the impeachment manager's subpoena, wanted to subpoena the Representative Herrera Butler, but I didn't hear Tuberville. That was also an interesting conversation brought up last night. Do you think they'll also go ahead and want to subpoena Tuberville for what he heard from the president on January 6th?
I think so. And you know that this type of evidence does resonate with Republicans. Herrera Butler herself is a Republican, and she let her constituents know that the reason she was one of the 10 House members to vote for impeachment was because of this phone call. And based on the questions that other Republican senators like Romney and Collins have asked, they believe that the president's actions when he learned about the riot, those actions are relevant to his state of mind and whether he intended to incite an insurrection. So I do expect Raskin to subpoena others, such as Senator Tuberville, who may have been privy to conversations with the president as he was learning that the rioters were attacking and entering the Capitol building.
What do you think of Vanderveen's argument? He was pretty worked up earlier answering to Raskin's request for witnesses. At one point, the gallery laughed at some of the things he had to say, saying that if we're going to depose witnesses, he wants to depose more than 100 witnesses, and it's not going to be via Zoom. It's going to be in his office, his law office. And the gallery sort of laughed, and he said, no, this is serious. His argument, though, was anything after the speech would be irrelevant. What did you make of that? Because these conversations are after that speech. He said, look, this charge is just about the incitement, and that would have been the speech at that time, and pretty much makes sense why we didn't hear any evidence in their case in chief, if you will, about what happened after that speech. But what did you think of that argument he made before the vote?
I thought it was an important argument. He really went in two directions. If I were him and I were Trump's attorneys, because they have such a significant lead here, and the Democrats clearly didn't have enough votes, I would have more forcefully argued against the witnesses. He really did kind of open the door to more than 100 witnesses or deposing all the individuals charged criminally in the Capitol riots as well. And then he pulled back from that and said that witnesses aren't relevant, they're not appropriate. He should have really honed in on the defense that we were all here by we, the members of the Senate. We do not need witnesses to know what happened on January 6th. Had he really held the line, he may have been able to get those 5 Republicans, at least, not to vote to move forward with witnesses. And speaking of Republicans, it was interesting. I heard Lindsey Graham, I believe, change his vote from no to aye, which, if true, that's also an interesting development, giving his closeness and allegiance to the former president.
Yeah, that's a really good point. We did hear him speak up and say he wanted to change his vote to yes, which would be to support the witness phase. I wonder why. Maybe he made that change. Maybe he heard how much support it did have, and maybe he turned over. Another interesting thing that I read was McConnell today was saying that he was ready to acquit the president before even any next phase was taken. What do you think about that?
I do think the Senate Republicans were prepared to acquit today. And now that this has sort of opened the door, I do think that the president's actions may change the hearts and minds of some Republican senators. Will we get 17? I don't think so, unless there's another bombshell like this that comes out. But this is, again, the Democrat House managers, it's really their only path to victory. So they absolutely have to pursue this because this is something that both the Senate and the American people want to know. What did Trump know? When did he know it? And what actions did he take? Did he try to push forward with a decertification process, or did he try to protect the Capitol building and those inside?
Yeah, I think you're right. Thank you, Neema. We're going to take a quick break right now while they're pausing to have a quorum call. So don't go anywhere. We'll take you back to the action here on Court TV Live, your front row seat to justice.